Welcome back. It's time for our Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. And Pat, we are almost there now. Let's talk about the election. And we've already talked a little bit about the similarities, potential similarities between this election and Gore v. Bush 2000. Do you still see that possibly playing out?
Yes, I do. I think it's possible. It's undeniable that Romney has surged. But what's interesting is the president will win those northeastern states impacted by the hurricane, but voter turnout will to some extent or another be lower because of the impact on people's lives and also because of infrastructure issues. There will be an election on Tuesday, and that's when it will end. His vote might be relatively lower in those states, which makes it even more conceivable that Romney prevails in the nationwide popular vote, but that the president prevails in the Electoral College. That's at least possible. This is going to be a nail biter. In the 2000 election that you referred to, Gore versus Bush, things at the end came down, at the risk of some oversimplification, to the Florida Panhandle. Right. In the Central Time Zone. And voter turnout was comparatively suppressed just the last hour because the state was called for Gore immediately after the polls closed. But they didn't know how much support Bush had in the Panhandle and elsewhere, and at the end he won by 500 plus votes. Now, and it would have been more that he would have won by. Now, the reason I mention that specific is we have probably a dozen analogous situations. If you count all the states that are so close and then the states where turnout's going to be lower to what you saw in Florida. So this might be not only a nail biter, but might be a long night that lasts for a few weeks. We'll see.
Exciting night for all of us,
right.
The media. So what do you think, looking back on the campaign, what stands out for you as the kind of the most notable parts of this presidential campaign?
I might say a thing or two that surprises people, but some of it are things that anybody that's paid attention will probably agree on. I think it's the best debates, presidential debates, since Nixon-Kennedy. Clear differences, sometimes stark differences. Romney undeniably turned this from a 53-47 race when the debate started to this nail-biter that we're in the popular vote, and he put some states in play even in the Electoral College. So the debates. I think that a hidden issue in some ways has been the HHS mandate requiring religious affiliated organizations to provide abortifacients or abortion-inducing drugs. This is hugely controversial, and it does put cross pressures on a lot of people who you would tag liberal, but who are genuinely pro-life and don't want to participate in anything that leads to that outcome. So the Green family and Hobby Lobby might be the best known example nationally, and there was arguments in that case this week. But that is a very powerful issue to at least some of the population. And that doesn't mean that a lot of Democratic-leaning Catholics won't still go ahead and vote for Obama. It means some might switch because of the pressure they feel. Finally, the economy. You know, that's the one that's obvious. That's what stands out to me, the debates, HHS mandate, the economy.
All right, so let's pull out the crystal ball. And do you have any bold predictions to make about the election, both locally and nationally? Real
quickly, I think most of the state questions will pass. I think that there might be some problems for the intangible tax because of the foul up down in Norman with the transcript, where the chamber sent in a letter signed by Barry Switzer, but it wasn't. I think that's going to be potentially a negative for that. Judges, I think the judges will be retained, and we've talked about that, but that's been an interesting issue. Let me run through quickly. Romney's gains, it seems to me, mean that he might win the Electoral College. If he doesn't win Ohio, watch for the results from both Wisconsin and the state of Iowa, and possibly Minnesota. That's what the election is going to come down to. 3 or 4 states with Ohio pivotal.
Fascinating. All right. You can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great weekend.